Hey everybody, what's up? Today I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the recent Marvel cancellations. And I read a series of articles on this. The one I'm going to be talking about specifically today is by comicsbeat.com. The writer is Taimur Dar. I'm sorry if I'm saying that name absolutely wrong. I probably am. But anyways, let's talk about these titles that are being canceled. The canceled titles are Generation X, which is XMen title, Guardians of the Galaxy, Hawkeye, Iceman, Jean Grey, Luke Cage, Royals, Secret Warriors, She-Hulk, The Unbelievable Gwenpool, US Avengers, and Uncanny Avengers. Now, I am honestly surprised many of these books made it as long as they did. To be fully honest with you, the only one here that particularly surprises me, the two that surprised me sort of the cancellations, Hawkeye is one, because I know that had a pretty devoted readership. At least the Matt Fraction run had a pretty good amount of readers. I don't know how this new one is. I don't read Marvel anymore. And the one that particularly surprises me is Guardians of the Galaxy. I would think that one would be a pretty big mainstay, but my understanding is basically they're not getting rid of this for long. It's just kind of going to restructure Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm sure, with that Infinity crossover that's apparently happening, because, you know, Marvel has to, basically, if a movie's coming out, they have to make a crossover that'll relate to that. I'm sure Guardians of the Galaxy are going to come back there, and the idea is to relaunch and make a big deal about it, put out all this advertising shit, maybe mess with the team a little bit, make something a little different, and boost the sales exponentially, I'm sure is the plan. But Guardians of the Galaxy makes sense, or it doesn't make sense to me. Technically, I understand, I think, what they're doing, but the rest of these don't surprise me at all. I mean, a lot of these books, and I want to talk about, actually, Taimur, whatever the fuck. Basically, he says that Marvel, basically, it's necessary for them to clean out house a little bit, which is true. He says, unfortunately, I think the titles featuring prominent diverse characters will have an unintended consequences, basically not because the people don't want diversity, not because people like, you know, diversity in comics or those type of people shit on diversity, but more so because they don't, you know, the inside out, as he says, the comics industry's obsolete inside out marketing strategies cause these books to fail. And I can't even describe how wrong that is. I mean, he can claim that all he wants, but that's truly not the problem with these books. I mean, the only people that you're advertising these comics to are comic book fans. Now, a lot of these books, not because they're diverse necessarily, are not going to sell to comic book fans. Most of these people, like, I'm a fan of She-Hulk, I'm a fan of Luke Cage, I like Iceman and Jean Grey, but I'm not going to buy these books. I'm not going to spend $4 a month on She-Hulk. I mean, you have your group of fans that are devoted fans to these characters. I like them. I'm not going to spend my money on them, and that goes deeper than advertising. I mean, Amazing Spider-Man is always going to sell. It doesn't matter how hard you try to sell these diverse characters, they're not going to sell. And something like Unbelievable Gwenpool, I mean, that fucking book is a gimmick. Let's be honest, it's supposed to capitalize on Spider-Gwen's popularity, because you got the Gwen thing going on, it's supposed to be in that brand, and then you got the pool, which is obviously, and the costume, she's supposed to be Deadpool, and it's a big-ass meme. Well, most comic fans are in it for serious stories, or, you know, why am I reading Gwenpool, the discount Tumblr version of Deadpool, when I could read Deadpool? And I'm not a huge fan of Deadpool in the first place. I don't know how many devoted comic fans truly are, but I mean, the Unbelievable Gwenpool can't be selling incredibly well, and I'm sure it's one of the better selling books on this list, to be honest. But another problem is you look at like Iceman and Jean Grey. Yes, they work as X-Men characters. A lot of people love them as X-Men characters. The problem is Iceman and Jean Grey, nobody wants to buy their books as like just a solo book. I mean, who's Iceman's villain? Who's Jean Grey's villain? You got Magneto and such for the X-Men, but I mean, there's only so much you can do without the X-Men and really make it work, so I can totally understand why those books are canceled. I don't blame anybody. Uncanny Avengers and US Avengers, we have a problem with Avengers where Marvel thinks, and I mean, DC has the same problem with Justice League, but whenever the movies come out especially, these books get pushed in mass. We have 10 new Avenger books, 10 fucking Justice League books, whatever. But the problem is, the only one anyone cares about is either Justice League or Avengers. You know what I'm saying? The main book. US Avengers, none of those characters we care about. Half of them basically look like OC fan characters. Like, and Red Hulk, Red Hulk isn't going to sell the fucking book. You don't have any characters anybody cares about on US Avengers. And Uncanny Avengers is a cool concept, mixing the X-Men and the Avengers. I like that, but, long term, past the initial gimmick, I don't know how well that would really work in comparison. And I mean, it's the same thing with X-Men. You have Generation X, you have X-Men Gold, X-Men Blue. I think they were making a third X-Men color-coded book, and it's like you can only have so many, especially with apparently these solo books they're trying to make. Luke Cage is another. I think Luke Cage and She-Hulk and Hawkeye are kind of in their own category too, where, yeah, they're beloved characters, but I mean, how well are Hawkeye, Luke Cage, and She-Hulk really going to sell on their own? Yeah, there's a lot of fans of these characters. I'm a fan of these characters, but personally, the only one I'd maybe spend the money on is Hawkeye, but even then, I have a lot of other shit I'm trying to read. I only have so much time to read and so much money to spend, So, I can totally understand why these books are canceled, and I think people's assumption that this has to do with diversity, either being people saying, oh, diversity, and bitching about diversity until Marvel folded and canceled these. Well, if that was the case, there'd be a lot of other books getting canceled too. A lot of other books for different reasons. And the other thing is, saying that it's because they're not pushing diversity, that's absolutely not true. I've never seen I don't see many mainstream media covering anything but this diverse shit. You got like Thor. When Thor became a woman, that was all over fucking mainstream media. So saying Marvel doesn't advertise it, but there's only so much you can do. You can put on the news, on the fucking news, the US Avengers is a super diverse team. You might sell 100,000 books the first week, and then it's gonna go down to like 5,000 because no comic fan cares about any of these crappy characters. If I have a choice between US Avengers and any of the other Avengers book, like a main Avengers book, why would I pick US Avengers? And half the time, you don't even have as good of talent on those books. You don't have a Mark Waid. You don't have a fucking, you don't have a Brian Michael Bendis on those books. You have some guy, maybe he's a good writer. Maybe all these books are fantastically written. I highly doubt it. But I'm sure a couple of these are pretty good books. But if you can't sell, they're not going to stick around. It's not a diversity problem here, people. And I really get annoyed listening to all these people bitch about diversity one way or the other. You have people like diversity in comics being like, if I see a brown person in these fucking books, I hate it. And you have someone like Tamir Dar, who's like, everything is all fucking, the comic industry doesn't care about diversity. It's like, okay, are you fucking stupid? In general, comic books were made by a diverse audience. We had black comic characters long before we had, black people on TV even. Like, look at TV in the 50s and 60s. See how much racial inclusion there is in those compared to like comic books of the same time period. Obviously the 30s, 40s, everything was racist, but if you look even in like the 60s and stuff, we started getting more of that as commonplace. It's still primarily white at that point. Superman was created by Jewish people in the 30s, so saying diversity had no play in comics, or still has no play in comics, it's run by white people. Yeah, it's run primarily by a lot of white people, but I think most of the fans are white men, and that's why those books do better. But saying diversity is not allowed, or people frown upon diversity, yes, there's that handful, but for the most part, the problem isn't diversity. The problem is these books don't sell because people aren't going to buy these characters. Even if they're fantastic stories, fantastic characters we're fans of, when it comes to making that purchase at the counter, people are going to buy Spider-Man or the normal Hulk over She-Hulk any day. And I also want to point out that he said a few more books he says he wouldn't be surprised if were canceled by summer. Ben Reilly, Scarlet Spider, Black Bolt, Falcon, Monsters Unleashed, and She-Hulk. Oh wait, She-Hulk must have been before that was announced. That was announced recently, but Monsters Unleashed, I'm honestly surprised that wasn't canceled at this point or earlier. Falcon, I'll probably hold on for like 16 issues. I give that one a little bit of time. Black Bolt, I'm kind of shocked wasn't canceled in this wave. And Ben Reilly's Scarlet Spider, I haven't looked at sales numbers personally. I'm sure it's not the best sales numbers. Probably the weakest Spider book selling right now, but it's kind of ironic. Everybody Scott wanted to see Ben Reilly, thought it was a big deal, and then when he comes back, nobody gives a fuck, because that's how comics go. But so yeah, basically that was my 2 cents on these cancellations. Hopefully you guys liked this video. If you do, please subscribe. I'll be trying to make these videos, some sort of news videos, at least a few times a week, hopefully daily as much as possible. So tune back in.